Now this is my part on paganism and conservatism and also fascism and nationalism and how it all fits into paganism and how some different branches may incorporate it more than others. So I'll start with conservatism. Now conservatism, for those people who don't know obviously, is it's staying how you are, it's opposing modernism, and it's also great pride in your country. You know, great pride in your country, your land, your religion, and obviously your nationalist or nationalism, which will then, why I've put racism as well as conservatism into one category, because then that can also branch on to stuff like that. Because eventually, when it comes to conservatism, it becomes a battle. It becomes homosexuality against homophobic people, poor against rich, racist against anti-racist. It all seems to come into one side when it comes to conservatism. But this is commonly found as conservatism in traditionalist groups and Asatru and a lot of reconstructionist religions, because they're basically looking on how the older religions, the Norse religions, the Celtic religions, how they, kept it, how they worked back then, and they're trying to reawaken it. They're trying to keep it traditional. So many conservativist pagans will oppose universalism or individualism, because that means that they're not going back to their ways, they're basically just incorporating anything they want to, and many will see that as wrong because they don't think that's the true value of paganism. It gets into a whole big debate, does this. But conservatism has come into quite a lot of groups, especially groups which obviously may have a lot more money or will be more proud of their ancestors. And very closely connected to their ancestral religions are groups such as Asatru and Heathenry, because that's where they mostly get their knowledge from their Norse ancestors, from the Vikings, from the heathens, the northern folk. So ancestry becomes a very powerful thing in there, and they respect their ancestors and they have a love for their land. And this can cause debate because they have more of a love for their ancestors than they do for, say, their land. And then it gets onto a debate of should there be environmentalist, conservativist pagans as well? Should that work out? Because a lot of environmentalist pagans are not exactly rich, and it just gets onto a big debate, as I've just said. But it does seem to fit into a lot of the traditionalist religions, and many conservativist pagans may not look into environmentalism as much because they're more connected to their ancestors than they are to the land. And to the land, that may not mean the earth itself, that may not mean that they start planting trees and looking after nature more. It may just mean that they take pride in their nationalism. So now I go on to fascism and nationalism and paganism. Now this is very common, especially in, well, it should be put straight for the record that paganism, to me, has been one of the most accepting religions out there. I've looked at Islam and I've looked at Christianity, Hinduism. None of them have ever shown as much equality or acceptance towards people. I've never seen so much LGBT rights in them than I have in any other. It's amazing. It's beautiful, practically. But obviously, not everybody is like that. Not everybody's left wing. You get right wing pagans too, or middle wing. So this was a debate that started a while ago. If Asatru followers are racist, especially Wotanist followers, because I think it was either the Asatru Folk Assembly or the Asatru Alliance got suspected of racist acts and acts of hate crimes, and especially with their German and Northern descent, which means that they have more likely of a chance of calling to people of being racist. This caused a lot of debate and eventually meant that one of the groups, I don't know which one because one of them's still going on, one of them was, basically collapsed, and another was taken over in its place. So now I go on to the Reconstructionist religions. Now, Reconstructionist religions have a lot of them will have a great pride for their land, their property. So that means that they may not like black people, for example, or Asian people coming into their land when it's Celtic land, it's Norse land, it's Egyptian land, it's Kemetic land. And this comes into a lot of debate because they don't exactly want those people in their land, because that should be strictly Celtic land. Some of them will believe. So that causes a lot of debate. Then, which are gone to heathenry and Asatru again, many use the swastika and a lot of, well, they would call them neo-Nazi symbols, but this is completely wrong. Because when the Norse religion was around, that was long before, it was long before Hitler, it was long before the neo-Nazis, and just Nazi ideology in general. So, the swastika, a lot of the common Nazi symbols were basically they weren't Nazi symbols, they were originally pagan symbols, but they'd been twisted and perverted and completely and utterly just used in a way that abused them. It's just like using an inverted, or just using a pentagram and saying that's a sign of Satanism, even though it's not. That's just perverting the sign of a pentagram. In both ways, they've done the exact same thing. The neo-Nazis have perverted Asatru in ways that have made them very common towards discrimination. And for Wiccans mainly, that has meant that they've had to hide their pentagrams because they would get suspected of Satanism and Satanist practice. But they'll have flags, they'll have all sorts, with a lot of, Asatru symbols, and when they're practicing maybe in a park, and this came onto a news report I saw quite a few weeks ago, that then they'll get suspected of being neo-Nazis because they're in the middle of a park, they're wearing white clothing, and usually the majority of Asatru followers are white, just like in a lot of the pagan religions, because it's it's most common in the English-speaking world, and the English-speaking world is mainly white, so, just like any religion, really. Like, the majority of people from where it comes from will be that particular colour or ethnicity. So, they can get called neo-Nazis a lot of the time because of how they dress, the symbols they use, which is completely wrong in thinking this, because admittedly some are. Some who were raised in Germany, some of them have actually been known to have more of a Nazi ideology than others. This isn't based on the religion, it's just based on the people that are in the religion. So it's the religion that's not racist, it's just the people. And this is something that a lot of, people need to learn. So thank you for watching my video on paganism, conservatism, and fascism, and nationalities, and basically a rant on how Asatru isn't racist, but it can have racist ideologies sometimes. Like, subscribe. If you're an Asatru follower, I apologise if I've caused any kind of problems or caused any kind of thoughts that think I don't like what you're saying. So tell me if you like this or not. Comment on the video by all means. But for now, I say goodbye.